Okay. My paper this morning is actually a very short paper. I wanted to come up with a very concise presentation on the salient points of. By the way, sorry, I forgot to inform all the presenters that we are only given 20 minutes to present, and then 15 minutes for the time that yellow paper would be raised, and then after 5 minutes, then the white paper would be raised, and then 20 minutes for each presenter, and then 20 minutes for our question and answer. Thank you. The title of my paper is St. John Paul II's Theology of the Body and the Anti-Discrimination Bill, Bill number 1271. From a phenomenological perspective. This study critically analyzes the salient teachings of St. John Paul II in the theology of the body. Later on, it would be stated TOB, and relevant provisions of the Anti-Discrimination Bill, or Bill number 1271, commonly referred to as the SUDGI Bill. This bill, as we all know, was proposed in Congress by the Kakabagao party list, and also by Congressman Geraldine Roman and Tom Villarin, and is sponsored by Honorable Senator Riza Hontiveros in the Senate. This looks into specific tenets of the TOB and the SUDGI so as to arrive at and establish a perspective that is hoped to be distinct in the sense of being independent from preconceived inclinations, be it socio-political and or personal. These are just among the many directions that this study bends into. By socio-political inclination, I mean that which pertains to the rigor or intent to passing the bill into an act or a law. By personal, this may likewise include discourses that pertain to one's held religious leanings related to the issue on human sexuality. Bearing this objective in mind, it becomes now imperative, yet altogether ambitious, for this study to maintain a philosophical tone as the exposition progresses. It could not be denied that the general context of the TOB is biblical. Thus, religious and the more compelling arguments opposing the SUDGI bill are deemed to be liberal or personal, which for many critics contradict religious teachings. This is one of the challenge and limitations which the author anticipates in the course of the discussion. It is with this that the researcher limits the aim of this undertaking, that is, to be able to establish a new or fresher perspective of the TOB in relation to the controversial and contested bill in Philippine Congress, the SUDGI bill. This is not in any way an endeavor that proves or supports either teaching or proposal respectively. This needs to be put straight so as to avoid misconceptions, as well as to be properly guided in the apprehension of the study. The theology of the body, or Theologia Chala of St. John Paul II is based on his 129 series of talks on his Wednesday audiences sometime between September 1979 to November 1984. This becomes his biblical theology on human sexuality, as it is where he exposes his take on the creation of sex, the male and the female. In this study, the use of the term man and woman may later on replace male and female, or may be interchangeably used and understood. It is for the reason that male and female pertains to sex, while man and woman refers to the individual person having male or female sex respectively, who is in constant search of meaning for one's existence. It is man and woman that actually surges up in the world, and one of his or her challenges is the issue on sex. The term man is a generic term to both refer to male and female and man and woman. Furthermore, this consequently becomes one of the four grounds of his human rights advocacies, which likewise influenced the socio-political landscape of the world that propelled significant change in many societies in an enormous fashion. St. John Paul II starts his lecture with an emphasis on the original human experiences, which is generally characterized by innocence, solitude, nakedness, and union. Innocence is deemed to be man's natural state of being or existence, while later on seems to connote consciousness, and that is expounded in his book or work, The Acting Man. In this sense, everyone thrusts into the world engulfed with this inevitable state of existence, devoid from preconceived biases as to neither what is best nor ill for one's existence. No preferences, but everything of submission to whatever potentialities may offer, one of which is religious. Additionally, man's solitude bespeaks of his individuality. It is such that rests on the very fact of his existence. It is one that is understood on the basis of his materiality and subjectivity and notion, and not on meta-ontological bearings. This means that man's singularity that is best exemplified in his palpable or positive existence, and not on any conjectures that are usually results of human conventions. This is also considered by St. John Paul II as our first encounter with our personhood. This, therefore, is who we are, a one solitary being in the world. With nakedness, he adds, that everyone is born naked, which symbolizes man's equality. As he puts it, we are both naked before each other, and yet we are not ashamed. As such, we face each other with that utter state of simplicity and also of uniqueness. Lastly, his concept of union is taken to be akin to marriage or nuptial experience in the light of the unequivocal union of the Holy Trinity. This act of union may be viewed through the TOB's concept of exchange of love, which means that God created us as male and female, later on man and woman, so that we could image his love by becoming a sincere gift to each other. The above-mentioned or highlighted teaching of John Paul II may run in unison along the Declaration of Policy of the Sudji Bill, Section 2, which provides that the state recognizes the fundamental right of every person, regardless of sex, age, class, status, ethnicity, color, disability, religious, and political beliefs. It shall therefore intensify its efforts to fulfill its duties under international and domestic laws to respect, protect, and fulfill the rights and dignity of every individual. Note further that House Bill number 1271 is an act prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity or expression. It is a piece of legislation which aims at protecting members of the LGBTQ+ community from different forms of discrimination. It seeks to disallow measures such as, but not limited to, gender identity in the criteria for hiring, promotion, and the like. Denying access to the public service and imposing harsher sanctions than customary due to a person's suji shall also be sanctioned. In line with this, it is claimed that the bill may espouse the essence of what JP2 referred to as original human experiences. Recall the enumeration of the fundamental rights of a person. It calls out for the nature of innocence in every being. This is a state that regains the equal standing of every human being regardless of status, which furthermore begs for that equality among us. In our solitude, we recognize our individuality and independence. This is a great avenue for us to encounter our personhood, or that which is both shaped and is shaped by our identity. Corollary to this, the bill may mean to promote that universal need to uphold equality among man and woman. This note is significant to the central Christian teaching of love and acceptance. That is, we love every individual and accept them for who they are. Remember, we treat a sinner and a saint alike. Thus, love and acceptance of a person, regardless of her imperfections and flaws, is afforded premium in this regard. Nakedness may mean that humbling yet gratifying experience. It is humbling because it awakens us from our conception, either of us, man, from our conception of man, superior, or man or woman is superior over the other. In fact, there is no categorical note as to who is superior. What is clear is that each is created equal. It is also gratifying because it allows us to embrace who we really are. It also affords us an opportunity to relish the moment when we feel empowered and capacitated to better ourselves. Moreover, it ushers us to live in a realm of mutual respect and love for each other, and that it allows us to realize that we start this from within ourselves. In effect, this possibly leads us to that desired union with each other, man and woman, male and female in our society. Note, however, that JP2's concept of union in the theology of the body may be sacramental in context, but here this can be taken to mean our social or communal unity. A union that we all intend to achieve, not merely for the betterment of our personal concerns, but also for social and national cares. With this, it is hoped that each individual would flourish as each unfolds and exercises rational choices. Hence, one could be a gift to the other. In the TOB, sex is not what people do, but it is who people are. That is male and female. Moreover, the way we understand and express our sexuality points to our deepest held convictions about who we are, who God is, the meaning of love, the ordering of society, and even the ordering of the universe. Christ teaches that the meaning of life is to love as He loves. God inscribed His vocation to love as He loves in our bodies by creating us as male and female and calling us to become one flesh in communion, marriage, or nuptial. His mission is to restore the order of love in the world seriously distorted by sin due to lust and shame. This is the considered great divide instituted by Satan to destroy us, which results to death. It is only by pondering Christ's body that we can understand our own. The sacramentality of the body means that it is a sign that makes visible the invisible mystery of God. It is God's way of revealing Himself to us, so we can see Him. As such, the body is not divine, but it is a sign of the divine mystery. A sign is something that points us to a reality beyond itself, and in some way makes the transcendent reality present to us. With this, God imprinted in our sexuality the call to participate in a created version of His eternal love through exchange of love. Again, exchange of love means God created us male and female so that we could imagine His love by becoming a sincere gift to each other. In this sense, sexual love, meaning between male and female, not purely sexual intercourse, because an icon of the inner life of intercourse becomes an icon of the inner life of the Trinity that reflects the union of God with humanity. The union of sexes is the only adequate starting point for building a culture of life that respects the meaning and dignity of the human person. Amidst the obvious differences and even contradictions and tensions between the TOB and the SUJI, it can be claimed that there may be harmonizing points between them. The concept of sex, that is male and female, per se, may not be problematic. The SUJI recognizes them as exemplified in its meaning of gender identity when it states that a person may have a male or female identity with the physiological characteristics of the opposite sex. In this sense, the SUJI upholds it as everyone's natural state of existence. Furthermore, gender identity refers to the personal sense as characterized, among others, by manner of clothing, inclinations, and many. This may not be problematic for as long as the male or female, man or woman, the person in general, does not in any way desecrate the dignity of her sex. And lastly, Christ's commandment of love is implicit in the SUJI's concept of discrimination and stigma. The former refers to distinction, exclusion, restriction, and preferences based on the grounds of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, and has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, access to enjoyment, or exercise by all persons on an equal footing of all rights and freedom. This probably is the summit of the Christian teaching of love, one that respects the dignity of the human person, wherein one needs to cooperate or participate, that is founded on agape, characterized by freedom, totality, faithfulness, and fruitfulness. Moreover, a loving act is faithful when it goes along with reason that dictates what is good or bad, and that goodness is preferred. Lastly, fruitful when it achieves the most sought after good. In this respect, I contend that the TOB and the SUJI bill may complement and be in harmony with each other.